Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Michelle, your host and pocket DJ of Coffee Fueled Stories, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. Today, we have James Longmore, who is the CEO of Hellbound Books. Hello, James. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? And you missed the H out of the middle. It's James H. Longmore, which funny.
Oh,
Well, funny stuff. I mean, it is actually my middle initial. But many years ago, when I not long after I got here to Houston, I sort of got involved in the independent film community. Which was, let's just say, interesting, shall we? It did. I did actually. My novel Tenebrian is actually based in the independent film community. So, and it's funny because a number of people said, "Oh, none of the characters are likable." Exactly, which is why I'm not in it anymore.
I was
But
just going to say, which now you're in books.
yeah, exactly. I was registering on IMDb, and believe it or not, there's a James Longmore out there in IMDb land. So I adopted the H, and it stuck. This obviously followed through to the books and everything. So
Okay, thank you
there
for
you go.
thank you for the clarification. So, not to be confused with that gentleman,
Yeah, he's nowhere near as good as me, obviously.
for sure. So, to let the listeners know, I feel like I'm just gonna come clean and I'll just admit all my Bridget Jones moments with you in regard to getting to this day and this moment. So I had the times wrong. I thought you were still in London. So the fact that we're actually finally talking months later at the correct
Yeah,
time
yeah.
at
So
the correct day.
why did you think? What on earth possessed you? Why would I have been in London?
I don't
Why?
know. I had no idea. I just assumed because, British that you were in London and so that you were on London time zone and that I was 8 hours
Ah,
behind you.
do you know? And it's funny because when I got your email, and I assumed you were in England or something in Europe somewhere. I thought, well, fine, because I always speak to people across the country,
Yeah,
across the world, actually,
yeah.
So I'm glad. I'm like glad we finally got to this point because
Yes.
I mean, I've been here 15 years now. I live in Houston, and I'm not used to a country with more than one time zone. Still, I mean, England has one time zone. That's it, and that I can handle. But here, there's just, in fact, my business partner, Christina, lives in Tennessee, and she's an hour ahead of me. I've got a client in New York, so that's an hour ahead, and I've got clients in California that's 2 hours behind. It's just like, what is going? I think in Texas, actually, there's North Texas has a mountain time or so. What is that?
I know, right?
What?
I know. It's crazy. That's why when I try to, make the appointments, I like try to make sure I'm like, okay, this is my time and then this is your time. And then when we were texting this morning, I was like, wait a minute. He's only 2 hours behind me. I'm like, oh, so that I'm so glad that we did clarify and
Yeah, me
I'm
too. Otherwise, this would have been embarrassing. But so
oh,
I'm assuming you're on the
I'm in
West
Pacific time,
Coast.
but I did live in Dallas I lived in Texas for 7 years. So I was in
Oh,
Dallas,
right. Yeah.
Richardson, area, Garland. So like
Right.
North Dallas.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, obviously, Dallas, in Texas terms, is literally just down the street.
Yes.
But it's like I think it's like 5 hours, four and a
It's,
half, five
it's a
hours from
few
here.
hours away. Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
but that's the thing here in Texas. We don't talk in terms of miles. It's time.
It's time.
It's
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
that's just yeah. But I may get used to it. I may not. But because I remember when we very first got here 15 years ago, coming up to 15 years ago, my now ex-wife. Because I was a big fan of Dallas, the TV show, and we'd only been here. Well, take Sunday afternoon. Let's pop see if we can go see because they can go see view Southport and that. Go see Dallas, and she said, "You do realise it's 5 hours?" What? Because in England, everywhere's like it's either half an hour. I mean, from where we lived, I was in northern England. You could jump on a train and be in the centre of London in 2 hours. So that was what I was used to. I mean, you couldn't drive in a straight line in England. and not end up in the ocean. I mean, it was just physically impossible. So it's taking some getting used to.
I bet, I bet. That's one thing I recall is so I was actually stationed in Arkansas. I was
Mhm.
coming from California, so my mom and I actually drove from California to Arkansas, and we stayed in Texas for a couple of days. This
Mhm.
was before I moved there. And literally, we spent the whole day just driving across the state. Like it took,
Yeah,
we literally wasted a whole day just drive. And I'm just like, is this state ever going to end?
I know it is huge.
It's a
It is,
big
oh,
ass state.
my daughter is involved. I mean, she's 16. She's in high school. Just about it's the last week of sophomore year. This week actually, and she's involved in the FFA program, and she shows goats. So, yeah, we actually have a current show goat. He's living in the backyard right now. Anyway, and so obviously we're going to goat show. We went to one 2 weeks ago now, and that was up near Fort Worth. So that was, and you think nothing of dry. So 4.5 hours, stop you for break, 5 hour trip. So off you go, and
Yeah,
but like I say, you just drive 5 hours, you're still in Texas, you know.
totally. Oh, and it's true. Everything is bigger in Texas. Like it's just it's
Mhm.
huge and flat. So
Yes.
flat. So
Well,
flat.
I think in sort of North Texas they've got some mountains. I think
They have the hills, yes, the piney green
the
hills.
hills,
Yeah.
yeah. But here it is flat. It is hot. It is hurricaney. It is just when we're bracing ourselves for the hurricane. It starts officially on the 1st of June, hurricane season. But yeah, so we've got that to look forward to.
Oh, yeah. We make sure that you are safe and that you are looked after. And I see your beautiful pets back there.
Oh, that's yeah. We are a house of many. We got 5 dogs.
Oh,
So
wow.
because it's just because I'm single. I've been divorced now for a lot of years. Now it's just me and my daughter. My son moved out. He got his own place last year. So I don't have that the checks and balances. I don't have somebody who can say, look, Jim, it's seriously 4 dogs. And I just said, because, well, we had 5. And then my son moved out. He took his dog. He had his shepherd mix. He took him with him. And so we've got 4 dogs. Now, sensibly, a sensible person would be like, well, okay, yeah, we've got one less dog. That's right. No, not me. I just like, oh, I think we should get a puppy. And of course, my daughter's not going to say no. She's not going to say, oh, that's a bad idea. So yeah, we got a rescue puppy in just before Christmas last year. She's adorable,
Oh my God.
So we've got, yeah, that's why we have 5 dogs, and I'm trying to. It's a good number actually. We can because we've got a lot of space, we've got a huge backyard. So even though the goat's taken up a chunk of that now, so mm,
Oh my gosh. That is awesome. So we're eventually gonna get to books.
yeah, we really should.
Again, very Bridget Jones. This is like very much Bridget Jones. So, to let the listeners know, you sent some noir books, and noir is it's like one of the coolest genres. Like it has
Mhm.
very specific elements that need to be a noir book. So my question to you is is there a noir no? Is there something that is just straight up like, no, you can't put that in a noir book and call it a noir book by adding this particular genre or this particular element into this
Mhm.
genre? Is there a noir no?
I think, well, to be fair, I mean, you take a step back. I mean, Hellbound Books, so we've been going 9 years now. Wow, that's flown by. We are very open. We publish, I'm not saying to publish everything. That sounds wrong, but we don't censor. If it's a good book, good story, we'll publish it. And we branched into noir a few years ago. As a natural progression from horror and dark things, and we do dark. If it's dark, obviously noir is it's the dark, it's the thriller, it's that. I can't think of any subject. I mean, there can be a fine line. It's like, is it noir? Is it horror? I mean, think of Silence of the Lambs, for example. That is a noir thriller. It's also horror because there's this debate raging: is it horror? Is it noir? American Psycho, again, is it noir? Is it horror? I think it can be very much in the eye of the beholder, to be honest. But no, we would, if we would never turn a book down. If we thought, well, it's not really noir, this is more horror, then we would, publish it as horror. So,
Okay. Because I always have, to me, it just doesn't get any better than Blade Runner, the original,
mhm,
with Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer.
yeah,
So for me, noir, like that is always what I have in my head. So if I'm reading a book, I always just have that Blade Runner with the rain and the gritty and
yeah.
I don't know. So
I mean, it was, to be fair, I mean, it's very much like a science fiction Ingmar Bergman film when you when you look at it, in
yeah,
color, obviously. But no, I get that. I get that. But again, you have that science fiction noir. Same with
right.
you have science fiction horror. Alien is again
Oh my
a
God.
massive debate. And I debate with my client in New York. We always come around to it every now and then. Is he's science fiction shit. No, it's horror. But it's, and that's the thing. Horror noir as well can cover so many different subgenres. Like I
Yeah,
say, you can have science fiction noir. You can have noir erotica. You can have, you name it, noir romance. And it's. I think as long as it has that. The dark undercurrents, that sort of element, and obviously lots of rain. I mean, it's got to be raining in all noir books and all noir films. It has to rain a lot. Like Seven, again, that's a noir. Is it a detective noir? Is it a thriller noir? Is it a horror? I mean, there's some very horrific elements, that sort of thing. Which is, I mean, that's the sort of thing. I guess that's the sort of noir that Hellbound books tend to look for.
very cool. Very cool. Because, like I said, there's just, and then of course I love Scandinavian noir or Nordic noir,
Mm-hmm.
where you have that bleak white snow and cold, that where the atmosphere is, very different from the gritty and the rain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I always have, like, when I think of noir, I either think of Scandinavian noir or, science fiction noir. And then, of course,
Mm-hmm.
Alien is just my absolute, like, that literally was the movie I saw as a child at
Mm-hmm.
the drive-in with my parents.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
my,
Mm-hmm.
at 9, I was 9. It was when it came out. So 79, I think it was,
Yeah.
right? Or 80.
It was. Yeah.
And my brain just went, and I was like, and the
Yeah.
world has spoken. So yeah.
Do you
Uh,
know, it's one of those movies that I've lost count how many times I've seen it, and
right?
and when sometimes I'm flicking through, if I see Alien, I'm watching Alien, and I watched it again very recently, only about a month or so again, and it was 79, and it still holds up. I mean, I guess some of the computer, but obviously they were advanced in 79, but even despite that, it still holds up as it's what I would call a perfect film.
Yes.
And if they ever dare to do a remake or a reimagining, I will just, I don't know, set fire to the movie studio. I think
No,
just
no.
just leave it alone. Leave it. It's like Jaws. That every now and then they say, "Oh, they're going to remake Jaws." Don't. Just leave it. You could not make Jaws any better than it already is. You just couldn't.
You can't. You can't. There's
No,
just, certain things you just don't mess with something that's perfect. And
absolutely. Yeah.
so it's funny because I literally have, so speaking of perfect, I have Coffee is Perfect on page 175 in the book, The Red Line
Mm-hmm.
by
Oh, by Blake Redman.
Blake Redman.
Yeah.
He literally has, so there's 17 pages. Coffee is referenced 17 times on 17 different pages, but the one part that actually made me extremely happy was literally, quote, "Coffee is perfect." So there you
Yeah.
have it.
I again, what more can you say?
And they drink coffee in Alien too. Like, my favorite scenes are when they're,
Yes.
drinking coffee in these movies.
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask you, because you are We have had we. I did ask you if you drink coffee or if you're a coffee drinker or if you're a tea drinker.
Hmm.
So I wanted to, if you've got some time to talk about this, I don't want to do a coffee versus tea. It's more of like pros of coffee and pros of tea, and we can do cons of coffee and cons of tea. But I'd like to have just a chat about coffee and tea if you're up for it.
Absolutely. I'm a Brit, so you couldn't be asking anybody. A Brit living in America now. Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, obviously, grown up being a tea drinker, tea's very big in England. And I have to be careful who I admit this to here in the US because I drink instant coffee. And people look at me like I'm some sort of monster. And I always remember many, many years ago when we lived in England. I think, yeah, we lived in England. We still lived in England. And my now ex-wife's sister was coming over to visit. Um, and I remember the first day she was with us, and I thought, "Oh, mate, we've got a little one of these little coffee pot things, as you do." And I never used it before because I like my instant, and I'm happy with instant. And I made this coffee, and as I would make it, and she just looked at it like, What is this?" And she literally in front, she just took it and just don't, I'm not being rude or anything. She poured it away in front of me, and then she made her own, and it was like molasses. It was just this thick, disgusting sludge, and then they leave it to stew all day, and it's just this awful. What? Just don't. It's nasty. Just don't do that. But yeah, I mean, I see it here. It's funny if I actually, my daughter, she's got a liking for fresh ground coffee. By accident, because we were buying, I got one of those little French press things because she likes the fresh coffee, and then we accidentally bought, she accidentally bought beans instead of ground. So I got a little coffee grinder, so we do also fresh ground, so we do all of that. But she likes that, but I still prefer. Then again, so it's been a Brit, I like it weak, I like it milky. I used to have two sugars, but I quit sugar a couple of years ago. As far as tea's go, I mean, it depends on the occasion. If something with lunch, when I have lunch, I always have a nice cup of tea with my lunch. Morning, it's a cup of coffee. It's just, I think my dogs are going to start fighting in a minute, which is entertaining in itself. It's great, we have the in-house dog fighting. It's something to do. So yeah, tea again. I like tea when I can get hold of like sometimes Yorkshire tea, or I get hold of PG Tips or
That's what I was
Tetley.
gonna.
It has to be the British tea.
Yeah.
And it's like twice the price. And I'm a Yorkshireman, so we're all in for saving a few bob, But I don't compromise on tea. No, it's got to be the British tea or nothing. I'd rather have nothing than the American muck, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm so my mom is from Argentina, and the British influence was very strong
Mhm.
there, and so she drank tea, high tea every day, and so she just was, very accustomed. So it was really interesting. They were influenced by the Italians, so they drank espresso, cappuccino, and
Mhm.
coffee during the day, and then they drank their tea in the afternoon, and then they had espresso again at night. So.
That's not a good idea, is it?
It's literally coffee, coffee, tea, coffee. But yeah, so she taught me the ways of tea, and she always would. She's like, "Don't even come at me with that American stuff." So I 100%.
No.
Our favorite thing was to go. I loved taking her to tea cottages, and anytime I found a cute little place that was
Mhm.
just a little tea house,
Yeah.
I always made an appointment, and we would have high tea, and we would do all of that stuff, and it was so much fun. So
No,
I
that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, so but I appreciate, and there is a difference. There is a very big difference in
Mm.
the teas. I hear what you're saying 100%, but in regard to instant coffee, I traveled a lot in Europe, and my favorite thing is a little packet of instant.
Mhm.
When you travel to Asia, we went to Indonesia, we went to Bali, and even in Tahiti, they have the little packages. They have a kettle, an electric
Yeah.
kettle,
Mhm.
and little packages of coffee, and boom, done.
Yeah.
Like it was like my favorite thing. Like it's so easy. You don't have
Mhm.
to worry about cleaning a whole coffee pot. Like
Yeah,
I
I
have to clean
know.
the
Yeah.
coffee pot. Like it's a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
I love it, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is,
I know exactly. I mean, I like hence I like my instant. But again, growing up, we the whole coffee grounds and all. Well, I guess that, yeah, we weren't posh, so it was Nescafe. It was a jar of Nescafe, and that was that. And we were happy in many ways. It was a simpler times. It was,
totally.
but tea, obviously not quite as elaborate like the Japanese tea ceremony, but tea isn't. It is like you say. You have in England, you have 11s, which is at 11, where you have tea and whatever, and then you have afternoon tea, which is usually around 4 o'clock. That's when you bring out the scones and the little French fancy cakes and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a thing. You have a nice cup of tea after dinner. We call it tea. In fact, that's the thing. We dinner in England is tea,
Yeah.
but it's not tea. It's food, and then after that, after tea, we'd have tea. Because the funny thing was, and I can say with my parents as well, oh, we can't have coffee straight after because of bedtime. But obviously, there's actually more caffeine in a cup of tea than there is in coffee. So, but I've discovered now I have decaf coffee before bed now, so I'm not awake all night.
I'm glad that you say that. So I contemplated having a decaf with you because this is a later conversation that we're having. But I suck at drinking water, so I decided to drink my water with electrolytes in it because I literally have had 2 cups of coffee today and no water. So so
To be fair,
I'm doing water with you.
I drink a lot of because I work from home. I'm either writing or doing stuff for Hellbound. So I'm basically sat on my ass in front of the computer all day. And I used to snack a lot, just for something to do, it's boredom. But now I have a bottle of water and a bottle of water on the go, and it helps stave off the munchies. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally,
Because it was
totally.
just I would always have, and I've stopped getting all the crap in now. I was just, and it would be candy or chocolate or muffin, you name it, just everything that was bad. And now, if I overcome by the nibbles, I have a nice bit of fruit, which is not the same. It's not the same as a double chocolate chip muffin, but healthier apparently.
So I know I hear you on that. I my favorite thing to do is snack while I'm reading. I love there's something about crunching. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
something innate or if it's something that I saw my mom doing. I don't know, but there's just something in our family. Like we love to read and have something crunchy and
yeah.
salty. So I hear what you're saying. I can't just sit here and just crunch on Cheetos all day as much as I would like to.
I hear you. I hear you.
So I know we haven't really had a chance to talk a lot about books because I am really enjoying getting to know you. I love your stories, so thank you for sharing all of that. So I wanted to ask you, in regard to Noir and the stories, the books. So we were talking about that earlier. I specifically wanted to ask you, has anyone ever pitched you like the weirdest or oddest story idea or book concept where you just said, you know what? No, like that's just too odd. That's just too weird. Like we're not going to do that. Have you ever
Um,
said no to anyone?
well, we say no all the time, and we get a lot of submissions daily, literally. But no, I mean we like different. We like the odd one. We publish some because they are off the wall and they are a little bit odd. I've written two out of my 9 books are very odd indeed, and they were written to be odd. So no, I mean no subject is off limits. Where we do reject is, if it's not different enough, somebody's rewritten The Walking Dead for the ninth time, or yeah, as you imagine, after COVID, we had a whole raft of pandemic books, and it's like, no, I've just lived it. No. Although, having said that, this year we thought, okay, enough time's passed, and it's 5 years gone. We're actually putting out an anthology of pandemic-based short stories, and we've got some great stories coming through for that. So, are you okay, my dog? Will you stop it? God, whose stupid idea was it to get 5 dogs? Anyway, so yeah, obviously, if they're badly written, or just, I mean, we get, and I don't want to be disparaging, but we get some stuff that's just not to par, shall we say, and some that's just downright awful. And sometimes we have to be, the golden rule is, again, anybody listening who's thinking about submitting to Hellbound Books, is you've got to grab us in the first 3 pages.
It's good to know. That's good to know.
If you don't grab me or any of my, editors in the, who actually do a lot of the assessment in the first, because if you're not going to grab us, you're not going to grab the reader. If you're not going to grab the reader, we ain't going to sell books. So at the end of the day, it's a business, and we love to champion the up and coming authors, and we've got some who've been with us pretty much from the beginning, because they create great stuff. It's like Blake. I mean, we published 6 of his books now. We've just published the 6th one last month, and we've got more in the pipeline with Blake. So, but again, he writes incredibly well, and he's got great, unique ideas, or he's got ideas that, because they say there's nothing original, which is probably about right, but he has that unique spin. And again, that's the thing. Yeah, by all means, write a zombie book, absolutely, but put your own spin on it, make it a little bit different.
Yeah. I saw that he romance. I'm not sure if he's written it or if he's writing it. I just have on my notes here romance, and I wasn't sure if that was like something that he was experimenting with, or if that's like
it is in the pipeline. It's about to go to edit, actually. So we have it, and it's a romance. He wanted to try the genre, give it a go, and it's good, and it's different. We're going to have to put our thinking caps on how best to market it.
totally.
But yeah, but what we can mark, because, and again, I had this conversation with Blake when we very first got to know him. I said, well, look, once you've got a bunch of books, because he's known for his noir novels. Once you've got a bunch of those, it's like Stephen King, known for horror, but Steve has branched into some different things, some that are not horror, whatever,
Yeah.
Fantasy, and I don't think he's ever done an out and out romance, but and it's great as an author that you can expand on some of these different genres. I mean, for me, yeah, I'm an author in my own right. Everything I do is horror and dark, but I'm also a professional ghostwriter, which means I get to write. And I've written romance, I've written thrillers, I've written biography, you name it, science fiction, dystopian, you name it, I've pretty much written the genre, which is great because it gives me the opportunity to play around with some different genres, which is fun, I have to say. It's nice to step outside of the gloom and doom for a little while,
Yeah, totally. All right. So you were going to say what your favorite skit was, but I do have a question because you said you say you're off, I'm off to bog. And I said
off to bog, yeah.
off to bog. And I said spend a penny.
Uh-huh.
So if I was to say that, if we were in a pub and I said I need to go spend a penny, like does that tell you like where you're from? Are certain places, do
Yeah.
they
Oh,
so
absolutely, yeah. Yorkshire, I'm off to bog. I'm going bog. Spend a penny's probably a bit more genteelly down south. Yeah, I mean, we all have our own euphemisms, but even to this day, I refer to toilet paper as bog roll. It's just bog roll. It's just what it is, But I even put it on my shopping list with bog roll. My daughter refers to it as bog roll as well. So
that's hilarious.
what
That's
it is.
hilarious. I think what was really cool was and we were talking offline when I was in Turkey, they called the toilets, so you either said tuvalet or it said water closet, it said WC.
Mhm.
So we just got so used to water closet and WC,
Yeah.
and it tickled us because, like I said, my friends and I were all Anglophiles, so we just thought it was the coolest thing to see
Well,
WC
yeah.
on things.
I mean, over here they call it the restroom. I mean, it's not the rest. It's not a restroom.
You don't go rest in there. You
No,
take
you
care of
don't.
business.
Yeah. Why
Yeah.
do you call it rest? It's like they're embarrassed. That's the thing they're all very embarrassed about. It's the restroom. It's like, no, it's the
It's a
shitter. I mean,
toilet.
it's a toilet, whatever.
Proper, yeah, yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
But
toilet.
hey,
All
but
right.
moving on.
Yes.
Moving on from
So,
lavatorial matters.
so you were gonna tell about your favorite skit.
Well, I'm going to ask you first. Which is your favourite Python sketch? And it's a sketch. You don't say skit.
Yeah, a sketch.
Sorry, it's a sketch.
Thank you. Um, uh, so Argument Clinic is one of my favorites because I used
Yeah.
that when I was teaching argumentative writing to freshmen
Uh-huh.
at
Yeah.
college at university. Um, and the other one though, Ministry of Silly Walks is just
Yeah.
there's just something about the Ministry of Silly Walks. That one is one of my favorites. I forget. It's the one convalescing where he's like yelling at them and they're all like in crutches and they're all bandaged up and who's convalescing? So I don't know. It's
No,
hard to say.
it's
What
a
about
good
you?
one. Yeah, I think I mean, everybody says the parrot sketch, which is good. I mean, it's fun. But my favourite is the cat license.
Cat license.
The cat license. I've come for a cat license, and then it's like you don't need one. Well, I do, and it's just like, and then it goes from you need a cat, just say, well, you don't need a cat license, and he shows, well, I've got one here. He says, no, that's just a dog license with the word dog crossed out and cat written in green crayon. And then it goes on. Then, oh well, fine enough. Well, I'll have a license for my pet fish, Eric. And then there's this whole thing about, well, you're a loony. You call me a loony because why should I be tied with it for loony? Because I have a pet fish called Eric. And it just goes on, and it's Palin and Cleese, and it's just so. And then it goes on to it kind of how they just used to blend sketches or just stop them or whatever. And then it went from the fish to I'll have a license for my pet bee.
Oh my God.
Eric, and he says, all your pets called Eric, and but then it turned out it was, I said, well, Eric the bee. Said, no, Eric the half bee. He had an accident, and it just, they
Oh
did
my
this whole
God.
song about Eric the half a bee, and it's just, the whole thing's just silly, but it's great. But again, you've got that, yeah, it's just, yeah, that's the one that really appeals to me because it's just so incredible. And obviously, there's the Yorkshireman sketch. We used to live in a cardboard box in the middle of the road, and that resonates as a Yorkshireman. That we do. We all try and outdo ourselves. Whereas it's funny here, you speak to people and it's who's got the bigger house and who's got this and who's got more. Again, Yorkshire, it's like who was brought up poorest. We didn't have Christmas. Used to get beaten with a cricket bat. It's just and that was kind of a badge of honor how poor we were. And I was raised in a sort of, I guess, my dad was I guess we call a white collar worker for the coal board. So I wasn't raised poor, but it was just one of those things that, if you were seen to be trying to be a bit posh, you're a snob, and you get picked on for that. So it was, you play everything down, and it was so beautifully observed. And obviously, Python being Python, just then take it to the extreme, which was great. Funny, actually. Before we do wrap up, and I've actually got a ticket. John Cleese is actually coming to Houston, and he's doing a whatever thing. And obviously, because it's the 50th anniversary of Holy Grail. So it's like a thing with John Cleese, evening with John Cleese, and then a showing of the Holy Grail. So absolutely, that's in September. So excited for that.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, yeah. That
I'm going to be shouting things out. I'm going to be shouting. He's pining for the fjords. I will probably get thrown out, but
Bring out your dad.
bring out your dad. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better.
Oh my God. I say she turned me into a newt all the time. Like, there's
Mm,
certain things that just come out of my mouth. Like, I got better.
yeah,
Like, just, and then, well, you're a loony. Like,
yeah,
that
you're a loony. Yeah,
just sticks in my, there's just certain things. And then, like, the spam skit. Like, I mean, who doesn't
oh,
love the spam skit? I mean, come
yeah,
on. I mean, yeah. So we could
mm,
probably have like a 5 hour conversation on the brilliance of
absolutely.
Monty Python
Yeah, over a cup of tea,
over a
obviously.
cup of tea.
Mm,
But yeah, so real quick though, since we haven't left that topic yet, A Fish Called Wanda is also one
yeah,
of my favorite movies.
yeah.
And I Kevin Kline's character where he drives and oh my God, and like he yells, I'm just like, ah, disappointed. Like I say that like anytime I'm disappointed, I literally harness my Kevin Kline in
Mm,
from that movie.
awesome.
But yeah, so clearly we were meant to talk with one another,
Hmm.
especially regarding the young ones and Monty Python.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Like I
It's
said,
nice. And yeah, other than my daughter, nobody here's seen the young ones. They just look at you like
oh my God, Rick Mile, Neil, Nigel,
Nigel Planer, Christopher
Viv,
Ryan,
uh,
and who played Vivian?
Vivian's
Adrian
Adrian,
Edmondson.
yeah. Oh
Edmondson,
my
yeah.
God.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
Yeah, that's and my favorite one of my favorite skits from them is actually Nasty. It's video. It was when the Damned is actually on
Hmm.
the music guests. But yeah, so again, we could probably
Hmm.
talk about that for a whole hour.
Yep.
But so I wanted to. This is the next biggest question that I had. So question number two, big wise, is what or how did you decide? Now I know you did mention about you were in the film industry first, but what or how did you decide you wanted to get into publishing? Like what was it did you just wake up one day and you said, you know what, I think I'd like to start a publishing company. I think I want to publish books.
No, I mean, I always wanted to write. I always wanted to be a writer from being a little tiny kid. All the other kids are right, either want to be astronauts and policemen and firemen. I want to write books. So, always wanted to write. And no, I was actually bullied into starting Hellbound Books by my co-owner, Xtina Marie, again in her own right, a terrific poet. Um, yeah, I mean, we met. I one of my first books that I got picked up by an independent publisher, and we sort of met through that because she was published by them as well. And we actually met on a podcast. Funnily enough, they did a podcast, and we sort of we were both guests and got chatting, and then we kind of became friends after that. And then that publisher collapsed because the guy turned out to be less than above board. And the lady that took it over was hopeless, and I was sort of getting involved in trying to help her to pull it out of the hole. Um, and that again, that was she was trying to pull a fast one, blah blah blah. And it was actually Xtina, so we should do it ourselves. And I said, no, I've run companies before. I'm getting a bit old for that now. And she literally browbeat me into, and so we from the ashes of the company, the second company that went belly up, we rose phoenix like, and we started with 5 titles, 2 of which were mine just to make the numbers up, one of which was hers to make the numbers up. Um, and here we are now. We've got well over 200 titles in paperback and obviously Kindle, audiobook. We publish authors I grew up reading. We actually publish a special edition of Bram Stoker's Dracula in connection with the Bram Stoker estate. It's all official. Like with Guy Smith and Jack Ketchum. There's a lot of Ramsey Campbell. We actually had Ramsey Campbell on our podcast last year. Fascinating. Again, I could have talked to him for days. Absolutely fascinating guy. Yeah, so literally I was bullied into it, long story short, but it's great, and what the one or two, I guess the two mission statements, because um one of my early books that I had published was a very unpleasant experience. The publishing company dragged their feet like 2 years from accepting it, and then they published it. They just the cover art was terrible. The whole experience was awful. So I said, what I want to do, if we're going to do this, I'm just going to I'm going to use that experience, turn it all on its head, and give our authors a good, positive experience, which is what we do. And the other one was just stay stay clear of drama. There's a lot of drama in and around the horror community, and we just sometimes it comes knocking on our door, and we do not engage. We do not air our dirty laundry on social media. We have social media, obviously, for PR. We actually have a PR company that runs our social media now. But 9 years, and it's one of the as people see you being successful. They love to try and take a pop at you, and we've had people actually say, "Oh, I'm going to take you down," and that, and I thought, well, how's that going for you, mate? Good luck with that.
Right, right. And so that's actually that was the final thing I actually have in my notes was how I misunderstood the controversy. And when I, first had when I was, approached and I was like, yes. And then I remember I was like, wait a minute, I think there was some trouble. I think there was some controversy. And then I said no. And then you emailed me and I was like,
Yeah, I did.
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
And then I was like, oh crap. So I had to because I too, same thing, I try to stay drama free. I try not to, I pride myself on finding, guests that I think would make have entertaining stories, who are drama free, who don't go around pissing off people, when they decide to wake up and they go, you know what, I'm gonna piss off. Let's see how many people I can piss off today. I don't want to talk to them. They may have great stories, but I don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
So, and then you and I went back and forth. And then I realized, you know what? I misunderstood. I was wrong. I made a mistake. And then that's when I apologized to you and I was like, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I am so sorry. I did not mean the last thing I want to do is ever offend anyone, ever. And then we started exchanging emails, then we started, and then based off of the conversation that we're having today, all of the Bridget Jones's moments, clearly, it went well.
Yeah,
I would
I
say
like to
this was a
think
great
so.
chat.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, we push boundaries, and but we do not set out to offend. Not to say, oh, we're going to offend. I mean, we published a terrific book that had, it was, I guess, incestual elements, but it was key to the book. It was very dark. It's called Snow White in His Glass Coffin. A great new author. In fact, we're editing. It's with editing actually at the moment. Publishing her second novel, July. Yeah, it's slated for. And people could get, somebody get offended. Oh, it's about a brother and sister have a particularly unhealthy relationship. But then again, so did Flowers in the Attic, and that was a classic. We actually had Andrew Needham on our show a couple of years ago. Great guy. But I mean, to say no. I mean, the book in question. I'm not going to. I was dirty laundry, but it was a book that I wrote. It's my book. I own it. It was written, 12 years ago. We published it. Hellbound published it probably 10 years ago, or 9 years ago. It was one of the first ones we published, and it was written as a dark comedy. But because it featured again, the hero of the piece is a penis that was removed from during a transformation. I'm going to be careful. I say a transformation, and it was actually fueled by at the time with Caitlyn Jenner. Back in the day, and I read an article where she'd been through the whole thing and what have you, and had. I think whether it was a throwaway comment or whatever, so that she was kind of regretting, she kind of missed her you know. And
Remember?
that kind of that, yeah, that kind of fueled that. And it was literally, and the sad thing is, I mean, the whole story is like a buddy story, like a road trip buddy story, but instead of the Disney where it was a cat and a dog and a fox or whatever, and I don't know, a duck. You always had a duck in there, whatever. It was a penis and other various body parts that they all got together in the hospital furnace, and they escaped being incinerated, and they go on this road trip for him to be reunited with his original owner. And so that was the story. But the whole the trans thing, obviously, it wasn't a big political hot potato back then, and dead naming wasn't even thought of until only a few years ago. And the thing is, people say, "Oh, you're transphobic." What really pissed me off was, I mean, people say, "Oh, one, I'm not transphobic, and I'm very much living like that kind of guy." It was a mechanism. It could have easily been an industrial accident that separated the two. You know what I mean? It was just a mechanism to have this penis going on this great road trip, and it is read it. It's a great road, and it's funny. It's very darkly humorous.
I think it's going to be right up my alley.
It's brilliant. I will send you. Remind me. I will send you a couple. We had to take it out of print. We will be bringing it back. And we'll get as a big middle finger to all the. I think the thing that really irritated me was it was on all Facebook. It blew up and what have you, and it only blew up because our PR company did if we don't have a new book out in a particular month, they'll go back through the catalogue and they'll say, let's give this one and bring this to the back. And it just happened to be, and he did it, and he PR'd it and everything. People didn't read it. For the number of people that were naysaying, I would have expected to see an uptick in sales. No, not one. And people will actually say, and I kid you not, I haven't read it, but, and then go on to pillory the company, and for me, I mean, nobody could have. You can say anything to me, I don't care. I'm at that age now, couldn't care less what people think of me. But when it's aimed at Hellbound Books, which not just me and Xtina and the editors and the artists, everybody involved in Hellbound Books, they come for Hellbound Books, then I get protective. I get very fiercely protective. I mean, we're talking lawyer protective.
Yes. And rightly so.
People openly said, well, I haven't read it, but somebody told me, and I'm offended. And it's like, seriously, dude, go fuck off. Just at least read it.
Read it.
You tool. Go read it. And then if it still offends you, fine, be offended. But again, Ricky Gervais does a great bit about offense. It's like, so you're offended. So what? Nobody ever died from being offended.
Yeah.
No, nobody got hurt. Your feelings were hurt. Well, tough. And that's why I resonate with Ricky so much, because, and he does actually go out on a limb to offend people. He wants people to be offended so he can cut them down and say, well, you're offended, so what?
Yeah. As you were talking, I was reminded, I want to say there was a song in the 90s, and I want to say it was called, was it Disposable Penis or something like that, or Removable Penis? It was a song, and it was just that. It reminded me, and I think that he goes on a road trip. Like the whole song is something about that. So of course now I'm gonna have to go look that up, and I'll
look that up. Yeah,
I was like, I'll send you that link, but like it sounds like, especially considering the type of humor that we were talking about, and the type of humor that we enjoy.
I will send you a PDF of it after we're finished here. It is very Monty Python. I always describe it as Monty Python writes horror, because it's got the gruesome bits, but it is you can imagine the Python team writing it, and even in the middle of it, and because it just occurred to me this would be funny, in the middle, like there's a little intermission in the middle, and I actually wrote a Dr. Seuss style poem in the middle of, just slap bang in the middle book, and it's like, this is the middle and this is the little poem, and it's very Seuss-esque, whereas if you can't think of something to rhyme with that, make a word up.
Why not?
Just make it up.
Why not?
So yeah, and that's it's very it's just fun. People who have read it and you know full display. I dated a terrific trans lady a few years ago, and she thought it was a hoot. Absolutely loved it. You know,
That's awesome.
so yeah, absolutely.
So maybe you'll appreciate this. I love anthropomorphized stories.
Hmm.
Like if you can take an inanimate object and bring it to life and have it tell a story. I those are like that was actually the first thing I learned in writing at like in fourth grade at 9 years old. That was actually the one of the assignments we had to do. We
Hmm.
had to pick an inanimate object in our house and bring it to life. I chose the bathroom doorknob. And it was all about how people didn't wash their hands. We were talking about
Hmm.
going to the bathroom. So I chose a bathroom doorknob as my first anthropomorphized object.
That's great. I like that. Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
that's
was
great.
9. I was
Yeah.
9. But as you were talking, I was thinking Tim Robbins is classic at that. He does it with Jitterbug perfume. He does it with some other things, and that's just it. It's like I think it's a salt and pepper shaker or a salt shaker or
Mhm.
something. He literally and they go on a road trip. These inanimate objects go on
Yeah.
a road trip and they get into trouble and they get lost and I mean yeah. So uh, I would like to read it. I have no
I
issue.
will send you a copy. I mean, you
And like
know,
I said,
it is
I
it's fun.
apologize for
No, it's
same thing
fine.
because I didn't
No.
understand the whole thing. I didn't understand it, and so now I know, and now I understand,
Mhm.
I'm so happy that I didn't just say no, and
Yeah, me
that
too. Mhm. Me
I'm
too.
glad that I
This
didn't
is fun. Yeah.
I didn't say where I'm glad that I listened to you when you sent me the email at first out, and I'll tell you what, James. When I got your email, I got so much anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, I pissed off somebody really big. I was like, why did I do this? I was like, I did not mean to do that. And I was like, I didn't mean to piss off a publisher. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. So the fact that we were able to have this conversation, figure out all of and I did. I apologized, and
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I'm so glad that we have moved on. And now I have someone that I can, I'm going to text you Monty Python shit all the time now that I've got your phone
please do.
number.
Absolutely. Please do.
I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to
would
send
love
you
that.
young
And
ones.
young ones, yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to dig that out. I'm gonna have to sit and watch them all again because they're just great.
I have the three box set. It's a DVD box set.
Uh huh.
I'll have to dig it out of my media cabinet, but it's one of my favorite things. So that being said, okay, so we addressed, I think my notes are, I've addressed everything.
Okay, good. Good, good, good.
We've officially exhausted my notes.
That's fine. I'm sure you're thinking we can do this again. Absolutely, we can just have a whole Monty Python evening. That'd be or young ones evening. But yeah, I need to.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to
It's
feed my. Apparently, you know, legally you have to feed them. You know, so I've got to feed the daughter. So and the goat. Well, in fact, she can feed the goats her goats, so she can feed her damn goats.
Thank you so much, James. Like I
No,
said,
thank you.
I'm so glad that we got a chance to do this and that
Me
I got
too.
a chance to apologize and with all my Bridget Jones's moments. So thank you for your
Sorry, I just on that just last point. You never answered my question. So, am I Hugh Grant or am I Colin Firth?
you're actually someone else from the TV station.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But on that note, I the way that I end the show is with the guest saying, "Go forth and be magical." So I would love if you would send us off with the "Go forth and be magical,"
Well,
please.
can I just say for check me
Yes,
out on jameslongmore.com
yes,
and
please.
hellboundbookspublishing.com or just hellboundbooks.com. And you can find more about me and the books and everything. And what am I supposed to say? Go forth and be and multiply. No, no, go. Well,
Be magical.
give me go forth and be magical.